The morning light slipped gently through my curtains, as if it knew this day was different. I woke up before my alarm, my heart beating a little faster than usual. Today was my first day at a new job. The thought felt both exciting and terrifying at the same time. I sat on the edge of my bed for a moment, taking a deep breath, whispering to myself, "You can do this." I chose my clothes carefully, wanting to look confident even if I didn't fully feel that way yet. The mirror reflected someone who seemed grown, ready, and hopeful. But inside, questions kept swirling. What if I make mistakes? What if I don't fit in? What if everyone is smarter than me? I smiled anyway, because sometimes confidence begins as a small act of pretending. The air outside felt fresh, as though the world itself was wishing me luck. The road to work looked familiar, yet new. Every building, every tree, every passing car seemed part of a story that was just beginning to unfold. I carried my bag like it was full of dreams, not just documents and pens. When I reached the building, its glass doors shone under the morning sun. I paused for a moment before entering, placing my hand on the cool metal handle. This was the doorway to a new chapter, new people, new lessons, new challenges. I stepped inside, my footsteps echoing softly on the polished floor. The receptionist greeted me with a warm smile. "First day?" she asked kindly. I nodded, and she guided me toward the waiting area. My heart slowly settled. People walked past carrying folders, laughing softly, discussing things that sounded important. I wondered when I would start to move with such confidence. A supervisor soon appeared, introducing herself with a friendly handshake. Her eyes were calm, reassuring. She walked me through the office, pointing out places and people, explaining what I would do. Every word she spoke felt like a bridge, guiding me safely across my worries. I sat at my new desk, running my fingers gently over its smooth surface. A computer, a notebook, a pen. Simple items, yet they felt like tools for shaping a future I hadn't seen yet. I breathed in, feeling a quiet determination settle inside me. Throughout the morning, I listened, observed, and learned. There were moments when I felt lost, moments when I felt capable, and moments when I simply smiled to hide my nervousness. But with every minute that passed, the fear slowly softened into curiosity. As the clock moved forward, I realized something important. This day wasn't about being perfect. It was about beginning. And beginnings are always a little shaky, a little uncertain, but also filled with promise. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But sitting there, on my first day, I knew one thing clearly. I was exactly where I needed to be. As the morning slowly turned into midday, I began to notice the rhythm of the office, the soft tapping of keyboards, the quiet ringing of phones, the gentle murmur of conversations. Everything blended into a calm, steady music. I felt like a new instrument trying to learn the tune. A colleague named Anna sat at the desk beside mine. She leaned over with a warm smile and said, "If you need anything, just ask." Her voice carried a kindness that immediately relaxed me. She showed me where to find documents, how to log into different systems, and even where the best place was to get coffee. With each explanation, the place slowly started to feel less like a maze and more like somewhere I could belong. Still, the nervousness didn't disappear completely. When my supervisor gave me my first task, my hands trembled just a little. It wasn't something big, just organizing files and entering information. But it felt like holding something fragile. I didn't want to make a single mistake. I read every instruction twice, sometimes 3 times before I clicked anything. There were moments when my mind went blank, and I stared at the screen, unsure of the next step. In those moments, fear whispered again. What if you can't do this? What if they think hiring you was a mistake? I closed my eyes for a second, breathed slowly, and reminded myself that learning always begins with confusion. When I finally finished my first task, I walked to my supervisor's desk, heart racing. She reviewed my work calmly, nodding as her eyes moved across the screen. Then she looked up and said gently, "Well done. You're doing fine." Her simple words felt like sunlight breaking through clouds. I carried that feeling back to my desk like a quiet victory. Later, during lunch, I sat with a small group of coworkers. We shared simple stories, where we came from, what we liked to do, how our mornings went. Laughter flowed easily across the table. I didn't talk much, but I listened, and listening made me feel included. For the first time that day, I felt more excited than afraid. After lunch, the afternoon brought new tasks, slightly more challenging this time. I worked more confidently, moving slowly but carefully. I asked questions when I didn't understand, and instead of feeling embarrassed, I started to see questions as stepping stones. Every answer helped me stand a little taller. As the hours passed, I noticed something changing inside me. The heavy fear I carried in the morning had begun to turn into quiet determination. I was still new, still learning, still unsure. But I was moving forward, step by step. And in that steady movement, I began to realize a powerful truth. Growth doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small moments. One task completed, one smile received, one little success at a time. The afternoon sunlight slipped quietly through the office windows, painting soft lines across the floor. By then, I had learned where things were, who to greet, and how to move without feeling lost. Still, every now and then, a wave of doubt would rise inside me, reminding me that I was still at the beginning of something big. My supervisor walked over with another assignment, a bit more complex than the ones before. She explained the steps carefully, showing me how each part connected to the next. I listened closely, taking notes, afraid I would forget something important. When she left, I stared at the screen for a while, gathering my courage. Slowly, I began working. Each click felt like a decision, each sentence like a promise. I checked and rechecked everything, trying to balance speed with accuracy. There were moments when I felt proud of myself, and moments when I felt completely stuck. When I reached something I didn't understand, I hesitated, then finally asked Anna for help. She came over and guided me patiently, never once making me feel foolish. "Everyone starts somewhere," she said softly. "We all had a first day." Her words wrapped around me like a gentle reminder that I wasn't alone in this journey. I thanked her and continued working with renewed focus. Soon after, a small mistake appeared, one I hadn't noticed at first. My heart jumped, and for a second I panicked. But instead of hiding it, I corrected it and told my supervisor what had happened. She nodded, calm and understanding. "Good catch," she said. "Admitting mistakes is part of learning." That moment taught me that honesty can be more powerful than pretending to be perfect. The office gradually grew busier. People walked quickly, phones rang more often, and the energy shifted into something more intense. I tried to stay steady, reminding myself to breathe, to take one step at a time. Even when I felt overwhelmed, I kept moving gently forward. As the clock continued its slow journey, I noticed something beautiful. I was beginning to trust myself. Not completely, not fully, but enough to keep going. Enough to believe that maybe I could grow into this role, into this new version of myself. From time to time, I glanced out the window and saw the city moving. Cars passing, people walking, life unfolding beyond the glass. It reminded me that everyone out there was facing challenges too, carrying hopes, mistakes, fears, and dreams. I wasn't the only one learning how to begin again. By the end of the afternoon, I felt both tired and grateful. Tired from thinking so much, from trying my best. Grateful because every challenge had taught me something. My first day was not just about work. It was about courage, humility, and the slow, steady process of growing into a place that once felt unfamiliar. As the afternoon stretched toward evening, the office slowly began to quiet down. The rush faded, conversations softened, and the tapping of keyboards slowed into a calmer rhythm. I felt the weight of the day settling on my shoulders, not heavy like stress, but warm like experience. My supervisor called me into the meeting room for a short discussion. I walked there carefully, my heart beating a little faster. I wondered if this was the moment she would point out everything I had done wrong. I prepared myself for criticism, reminding my heart to be brave. Instead, she smiled. She asked me how I felt about the day, what was difficult, what I enjoyed, and what still confused me. No test, no pressure, just conversation. I spoke honestly, admitting my worries and the times my mind went blank. She listened attentively, nodding gently. Then she said, "You did well. You asked questions. You tried. That matters more than being perfect." Those words rested inside me like a soft pillow. I felt a quiet relief I didn't even realize I needed. It wasn't about proving myself in one day. It was about showing up with honesty and effort. Before I left the room, she shared a story about her own first day years ago. The mistakes she made, the tears she almost cried, the way she slowly learned. Hearing that made me feel human, connected, and somehow stronger. Even people who seem confident now were once unsure, just like me. Back at my desk, I packed my things slowly. The notebook I had filled with scribbles and reminders now felt like a map of my learning. The chair where I had once sat nervously now felt familiar, almost friendly. Aina waved before she left. "You survived your first day," she laughed softly. "Tomorrow will be easier." I smiled back, grateful for her kindness, the kind of kindness that makes a place feel safe. As I walked out of the building, the evening sky greeted me with soft colors, a gentle mix of gold, pink, and fading blue. The world outside seemed quieter than in the morning, as if it was wrapping the day carefully before putting it to rest. I thought about the fears I carried at sunrise, and the lessons I carried now. I had not done everything perfectly. I had made mistakes. I had felt unsure many times. But I had also learned, tried, listened, and grown. And maybe that was what this day was truly about. Not impressing everyone, but discovering new strength inside myself. With each step toward home, I felt lighter. My first day had not broken me. Instead, it had opened a door to patience, courage, and possibility. And deep inside, a quiet voice whispered, "You're going to be okay." That night, when I finally reached home, I placed my bag on the table and sat quietly for a moment. The day replayed in my mind like a soft movie. The early morning nerves, the new faces, the small mistakes, the gentle encouragements, the lessons that slowly settled into my heart. I felt tired, but it was the good kind of tired, the kind that comes from trying. I poured myself a cup of warm tea and let my thoughts breathe. I realized how easily fear had tried to control me that morning. It had whispered that I wasn't ready, that I didn't belong, that I would fail. Yet somehow, step by step, I had walked through the day anyway, not perfectly, not confidently all the time, but honestly, and that made all the difference. Later, I opened my notebook again, flipping through the pages. Each note, each reminder, each scribbled arrow felt like a little footprint. Proof that I had walked through something new and survived. I wrote one more sentence at the bottom of the page. First day. I showed up, I learned, I grew. That sentence felt like a promise to myself. Before sleeping, I thought about tomorrow. I knew it wouldn't suddenly be easy. There would still be tasks that confused me, problems I'd struggle to solve, and moments where doubt would return. But now, I had something stronger than fear. I had experience. Even one day can plant seeds of courage. I imagined myself walking through those glass doors again, greeting familiar faces, turning on my computer, and beginning with a little more confidence than before. I imagined making progress piece by piece, learning slowly, building trust with my coworkers, and earning trust in myself. And I realized something beautiful. Every first day in life feels scary. First job, first move, first challenge, first dream. But each one carries a hidden gift. They teach us that we are capable of more than we think. They show us that courage doesn't roar loudly. Sometimes courage is simply waking up, getting ready, and deciding to try again. As I lay in bed, the room felt peaceful. The nervousness that had once filled my chest had softened into calm. I closed my eyes, thankful for the supervisor who guided me, for Aina who helped me without judgment, and for the quiet strength inside myself that I didn't know existed. My first day at the new job was not just a beginning at work. It was a beginning inside my heart, a beginning of believing, of trusting, of growing into someone braver. And as sleep gently wrapped around me, one clear thought stayed with me. Every great journey starts with one unsure step, and today I took mine.